how's it going? Welcome back to my channel. It's officially the start of season 2 of my Sims 4 Thorne family, and this episode will just be a little introduction to the current royals, and as always, the actual gameplay will start next episode. If you're enjoying any of my videos, make sure to give them a thumbs up, and if you want to continue to see them, then definitely subscribe. But anyway, let's just get on with the video, and I'll see you soon. So actually, before I talk about the current Thorne family, I thought it'd be, relevant to just quickly give a backstory and discuss the past family members in case this is the first video you're seeing. But I do go into much more detail about these family members in season 1, episode 1, if you're interested. So this save file begins with Queen Clara Thorne in September 2022 real time, so almost 3 years ago, which is crazy. But the day I created this world is year 0, which is important to remember because I mention what year it is in basically all of my videos. But career-wise, apart from being queen of course, she worked as a fashion stylist. She then meets Joey and gets married to him, and they go on to have 4 children together. Their daughter Greta in the year 34, their son Elijah a year later in 35, their son Nicholas 5 years later in 40, and their daughter and heir to the throne Olive 4 years after in 44. As you probably realize, this is a matriarchal society because, as we all know, women are better leaders and are just better overall, and also the heirs are the last born female, which I honestly have no idea why I chose that, sorry. Okay, so now focusing on the firstborn, Greta. She met Dax in high school, I'm pretty sure. Oh, actually, now that I think about it, that may not be right, considering they're 4 years apart in age. But both of them worked as doctors. Greta and Dax end up getting married, and they have 1 child together, their son Archie, born in the year 55. Actually, these ages do not seem to be adding up. But let's just move on anyway. Clearly I hadn't worked out the date system yet. Now focusing on Archie, who was the first member of the 3rd generation of Thornes. He worked as a chef and owned the restaurant Rose and Thorne, which still exists today. He meets Judith, who is 10 years older, and they get married. Archie and Judith then have fraternal twins in 81, and their son Flynn and daughter Quinn both end this line of Thornes because they become spies, cutting themselves off from society, and neither have any kids, which is pretty cool. But anyway, let's get back to the entire family tree now. Okay, so now focusing on the last born and heir to the throne, Olive. She was a very, very famous actress from a young age. She actually has one of those stars on the Sims 4 Walk of Fame in Del Sol Valley, and also she won a Starlight accolade one year, which is very cool. Even cooler is that when she was 20, she adopted her daughter Destiny, and 2 years later adopted her son Boston. But then 11 years after that, when she was 33, she gave birth to her daughter and heir to the throne, Lara, in 77. Now focusing on Lara, who was the final member of the 3rd generation of Thornes. She worked as a stylist like her grandmother, Queen Clara. She then meets Brett, who is 3 years older, and they get married. Lara and Brett then have 3 children together, their son Heinrich in 104, their son Uzi 1 year later in 105, and their daughter and heir to the throne, Sadie, 3 years later in 108. Each of them have their own families, but they are actually a part of the current royals, and I'll go into much more detail later in this episode. But for now, let's get back to the entire family tree again. Now, of course, these family members are not with us today anymore. Queen Clara died in 67, ending the Claran era, followed by Prince Elijah in 85, Princess Greta in 91, Prince Nicholas in 101, Prince Archie and Queen Olive in 105, ending the Olivian era, followed by Princess Destiny in 111, Prince Boston in 121, Flynn and Quinn in 149, and finally Queen Lara in 162, ending the Laran era. Her death actually happened in the season 1 finale, and the coronation of Queen Sadie is how we'll begin this season, which brings us to the present day in the year 163, and I think enough background information to jump straight into this season. Okay, so as we just saw, we left last season with the death of Queen Lara, and we start this season off with her 3 children, Prince Heinrich, Prince Uzi, and now Queen Sadie. Oh, and don't worry, their father Brett is still alive, but honestly he is struggling with the death of his wife, poor thing. He'll probably never be the same again. The photo on the left is Queen Lara and King Brett in the year 159, and the photo on the right is the most recent photo of Brett taken this year in 163. I'm not going to go too much into detail regarding Brett's life because we have a lot more family members to discuss in this video, but I basically explain his entire life story in season 1 episode 1, so make sure to check that out if you're interested. Anyway though, focusing on the firstborn, Heinrich met Haley at a bar and they got married in December 130. Heinrich and Haley then have 3 children together, their daughter Imogen, born on the 10th of July 133, their son Xavier, born on the 11th of October 135, and their daughter Talia, born on the 26th of April 138. At the beginning of this season, Heinrich is 59 years old, Haley is 55, and their youngest daughter Talia is 25. The 3 of them live in a house in Brindleton Bay. Heinrich completed a Bachelor of Computer Science with honours at Foxbury Institute and graduated in the year 127. He is now a computer engineer at Obscure Logistics. His traits include cat lover, snob, perfectionist, and geek, and his personality type is ISTJ. This means that he's a shy, focused, no-nonsense type who's super organized, a bit picky, and loves diving deep into his interests. Haley was a stay-at-home mum when the kids were growing up and is also an author in her free time. Her traits include family-oriented, creative, cheerful, and romantic, and her personality type is ISFJ. This means that she's kind and supportive with a creative soul and a sunny outlook that makes people feel at home around her. Talia completed a Bachelor of Physics with honours at Foxbury Institute and graduated in 161. She is now a scientist at Future Sim Labs. Her traits include perfectionist and geek like her dad, and her personality type is INFJ. This means that she's very introspective and determined, loves figuring things out, and quietly sets high standards for herself. The other 2 children of Heinrich and Haley have moved out of home, including Imogen, who at the start of this season is 30 years old. Beside her on her right is her girlfriend of 2 years, Evangeline, who is 25. The 2 of them live in a townhouse in Windenburg. Imogen completed a Bachelor of Fine Art at Foxbury Institute and graduated in 160. She is currently a freelance fashion photographer. Her traits include creative like her mum, snob like her dad, and lactose free, and her personality type is ESFP. This means that she's vibrant, creative, and loves being the center of attention. Evangeline is currently unemployed, but her traits include dog lover, practice makes perfect, and ambitious, and her personality type is ESTJ. This means that she's practical and likes to be in charge and having things under control. The middle child of Heinrich and Haley is Xavier on the left. At the beginning of this season, Xavier is 28 years old, and beside him is his cousin Reese, who I will go into more detail when I discuss Sadie's family. The 2 of them live on a farm in Henford-on-Bagley. Xavier is a farmer and looks after the animals on the property. His traits include family-oriented like his mum and good, and his personality type is ESFJ. This means that he's warm and dependable with a big heart like his mum and loves looking after others and the animals, of course. Xavier also got engaged to his girlfriend Maria Price last year, which we saw last season. Heinrich and Haley are soulmates who balance each other perfectly. He's the stricter, more serious parent, while she's the warm, supportive one who keeps everyone connected. Imogen shares her dad's humour and her mum's creativity. She's often joking around with Heinrich and bonding with Xavier, though sometimes she clashes with Talia. Xavier is the laid-back middle child who gets along with everyone, while Talia, the youngest, is quieter but shares a good connection with her mum and brother. But anyway, that's all for Heinrich's family. Let's get back to the entire family tree again. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to put the tree on its side now, even though it looks so ugly, because it will become a bit chaotic soon. Before that though, let's go back to just the 4th generation of Thornes and focus on the second born Uzi. Uzi met Crystal at high school and they got married in November 135. Uzi and Crystal then have one child together, their son Jasper, born on the 22nd of November 141. It does not stop there though. Jasper met Isabel at high school and they got together in 160 and had a child 1 year later, their son William, born on the 25th of June 161 when Jasper and Isabel were only 20 years old. At the beginning of this season, Uzi is 58 years old, Crystal is 56, Jasper is 22, Isabel is 22 also, and William is 2. The 5 of them live in a penthouse in San Myshuno. Uzi completed a Bachelor of Art History with honours at the University of Brightchester and graduated in the year 133. He is now an arts critic at San Myshuno Times. His traits include cheerful, creative, self-absorbed, active, and romantic, and his personality type is ENFJ. This means that he is charming and passionate, loves being around people and being center of attention, and always has big opinions and even bigger ideas. Crystal completed a Bachelor of Communications at Foxbury Institute and is now a journalist at Walrus Books. Her traits include adventurous, ambitious, perfectionist, and active, and her personality type is ESFP. This means that she's bold, outgoing, and fearless, loves chasing new experiences, and always pushes herself to achieve big things. Jasper currently works part-time at a sports shop. His traits include romantic, like his dad, and glutton, and his personality type is ENFP. This means that he's a quiet and thoughtful guy, with a tendency to avoid effort unless it's really worth it. Isabel is currently unemployed, but her traits include active, horse lover, and insider, and her personality type is ISTJ. This means that she's reliable and down to earth, with a love for structure and spending time with the people that she trusts. William is an infant and he has the sensitive trait. He's also a happy spitter and he hates wake up time. This means that he can be very, very annoying sometimes, but his cuteness obviously makes up for it. Uzi and Crystal's relationship is intense. They're deeply connected but definitely aren't afraid to challenge each other. Uzi is the fun parent with Jasper, sharing a jokey, easygoing bond, while Crystal is much stricter and holds high expectations for him. Uzi and Isabel have a great connection, but Crystal and Isabel not so much. Meanwhile, Jasper and Isabel are a perfect match, happy in their little bubble with baby Will. But anyway, that's all for Uzi's family. Let's get back to the entire family tree again. How ridiculous does that look? There's too much going on. Anyway, we have one more family to discuss, which is Sadie's, the last born. I believe Sadie met Connor through her brother, Heinrich, while they were at uni, but I'm only like 10% sure that that's true. I completely forgot how they met, sorry. But I do know that they got married in June 133. Sadie and Connor have 2 children together, their son Reese, born on the 29th of November 135, and their daughter and heir to the throne, Penelope, born on the 30th of June 139. At the beginning of this season, Sadie and Connor are both 55 years old. The 2 of them live in a house in Del Sol Valley and live next door to Sadie's dad, Brett. Sadie completed a Bachelor of Communications with honours at the University of Brightchester and graduated in the year 131. She now works in public relations at SimTV. Her traits include bro, materialistic, active, perfectionist, and goofball, and her personality type is ESFJ. This means that she's focused and assertive, loves structure and success, but balance it with moments of fun when she's in the mood. Connor completed a Bachelor of Economics at Foxbury Institute and is now an environmental manager at the Observe to Conserve Foundation. His traits include perfectionist, socially awkward, and loyal, and his personality type is ISFJ. This means that he's thoughtful and reliable with a strong sense of duty and a quiet determination to get things right. Connor and Sadie's 2 children have both moved out of home, including Reese, who, as we briefly saw before, lives with his cousin Xavier on a farm in Henford-on-Bagley. At the beginning of this season, Reese is 28 years old. Similar to Xavier, Reese is also a farmer, but he does all the gardening and beekeeping. His traits include ADHD and geek, and his personality type is ISTP. This means that he's energetic and resourceful, prefers doing over talking, and has a brain that never really switches off. Connor and Sadie's youngest child, as well as heir to the throne, is Penelope, and she is 24 years old at the start of this season. She lives at Foxbury Institute University Housing in Brightchester. Penelope is currently completing a Bachelor of Communications at Foxbury Institute, and we're hoping that she'll graduate in 165, but we'll soon see if that actually happens. Her traits include perfectionist, like both of her parents, outgoing, and family-oriented, and her personality type is ENFJ. This means that she's social and driven, loves being around people, and always pushes herself and everyone else to do their best. Sadie and Connor work well as a couple, but not so much as parents, as they're both very strict in their own ways. Sadie's the louder, more intense one who expects a lot, while Connor's quiet but still very firm. Reese tends to clash with them, especially Sadie, and often feels like he's under pressure. He's much closer to his little sister Penelope, who gets along slightly better with their parents, but even she isn't totally off the hook when it comes to their high expectations. But anyway, that's all for Sadie's family. Let's have a look at this final current family tree. What the hell? Honestly, this is the best I can do, so hopefully it's readable. But if you thought this was bad, have a look at this. This is everyone in the entire family. But that brings us to the end of the first episode of season 2. If you made it this far, then honestly, well done. There's been so much information in this episode, but no worries if you've forgotten everything. The personalities and family dynamics will become way more obvious the more you watch the actual gameplay videos. But yeah, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next episode.